Hi, and welcome to another narration presented by yours truly, Cryptids Roost. Let's just take a moment's silence for all the haters, Karens, and the trolls. That's enough. Be sure to check out the blooper reel at the end of the video, which is then followed by the end screen, where you will find more videos listed. So grab your coffee, sit back and enjoy the show. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not. Before we jump into today's video, I just want to bring you a quick sponsors video. Today's video is brought to you by Metaphysik.com, an up-and-coming fashion sportswear website. Be sure to pop on over and check them out. Be sure to use the discount code XYZ to grab an extra 10% discount off your order. Stay out of Mammoth Cave National Park. This awesome story is written by Valor Angel. As per the request from the author, here is a quick disclaimer. The following story is based off a real encounter, and the person this is based on is alive and well, but came close to the same ending seen in the story. Prologue. Day out of Mammoth Cave National Park. Let me start this by saying this is based off an encounter with this specific cryptid I heard growing up. This did happen in Mammoth Cave National Park. If you believe in cryptids, that is. I'll leave that up for you all to decide. Names and dates have been changed to protect the identity of the individual along with the ending. They are happy and healthy to this very day. I hope you all enjoy. Stay Out of Mammoth Cave National Park by Trevor Murray. I have always loved the woods. Ever since I was a small child, I have found more comfort in them than anywhere else. It wasn't until my adult life that this changed. It all started on a normal camping trip during a cold November weekend. Most people would have cancelled the trip due to it recently raining and with a high of 37 all weekend long. However, I enjoyed the extra challenge. The trip was to Mammoth Cave National Park in south central Kentucky. For those of you who aren't in the know, Mammoth Cave is the largest cave system in the world, with a beautiful national park full of amazing trails and places to go canoeing and all your other favourite outdoor activities. That is, of course, on a surface level. Many locals know not to go on the north side of the park at night alone, or even in a small group. Quite a few people have gone missing over the years, and very seldom is it on the south side of the park. The park is split down the middle by the Green River, which stretches across the park from east to west, connecting Nolin Lake and Green River Lake, both of which being popular spots during the summer for camping. Everyone's uncle has seen Bigfoot in these woods. Heck, I'm sure that they also shared a sandwich a time or two. I've never believed in the paranormal. I think it can all be explained away by logic and reasoning. Saw a ghost? Yeah, right, that's just your brain imagining it. Did that light turn off on its own? Sure, might want to call the electrician to fix the crappy job the first electrician did while the house was being built. In saying that, I will admit that I do enjoy a good story, especially creepy ones found across the internet, especially those of the local urban legend across Kentucky of the Goat Man or the Bearilla. For those of you who don't know what the Bearilla is, it is a local legend in south central Kentucky about an animal frequently seen at Native American burial grounds and local cemeteries at the edge of small towns. It's described as having short black or grey fur with a massive waist and even larger arms. It didn't get the name Bearilla for nothing. Its head is being described as that of a large wolf with long pointy ears, amber eyes and a short stubby snout. Some have described it more along the lines of what a stereotypical werewolf would look like. And for the Goatman, well, we have all heard that tale before. I don't think it needs any introduction. Anyways, back to the camping trip. I was going alone this time. I thought about bringing my son along as he had just recently turned 13, and I felt more comfortable taking him on longer, harsher trips with minimal gear. He always seemed to enjoy camping, but this was out of his league. It was too cold and the trail was too harsh and unforgiving for anyone without proper experience. The trip itself was over the course of 2 days. The first was hiking up to the site, which was set up against the highest point in the peak. The next was, of course, a slow hike back, which in all honesty would be even more dangerous due to the rapid drop in elevation combined with the cold slate mud and clay that would be found on the trail. I always made sure to pack lightly on hiking trips like this to really push myself when it came to my survival skills. On this trip I carried with me a small knife, two 50-foot strands of 550 paracord, my tent and sleeping bag, and some iodine tablets to purify the water of any harmful bacteria found in the water. A small flashlight, really only strong enough to illuminate 10 to 15 feet in front of me. And then of course a fire starter and duct tape. Overall I packed more than I normally would for such a trip. However, with the recent birth of my second child a few months ago, I started to take less risks and packed more each time. For food I brought with me a pack of beef jerky and some granola bars. That's really all I needed to feed my slim frame of 150 pounds at 5'11". Time came for me to leave for my trip. Getting in the truck, I felt a cold feeling wash over me, like a sixth sense telling me not to go on this trip, but I ignored it. I had already taken off work for the 2 days I would be gone, and I'm not about to waste the few precious vacation days I got each year. The drive itself should only take 3 hours, depending on the ferry still used by the park. The ferry was the quickest and easiest way to get across to the north side of the park without adding an extra 2 to 3 hours onto the drive. It was a common complaint to those who came on vacation from out of state. However, us locals usually took the chance to catch up on a new book or to double check our gear in case we had forgotten to pack something while waiting for the ferry to reach the south side boarding dock. I was currently reading A Game of Thrones for the 3rd time. P.S. Danny is like 14, you perverts. It took the ferry only 45 minutes to get back on the south side, but when the crew stepped off, they went to each of our vehicles to tell us due to the increase in wind and with the currents being strong today, there would be no more rides across the water today. Anyone wanting to get across would have to go around and take a bridge across, the closest one being an hour-and-a-half drive away from the docks. This at the time had upset me. However, I understood why they couldn't risk the journey across to the other dock, and so I went on my way. It was a fairly long and boring drive. There was no use in bringing my cell phone due to there being no signal anywhere in the park. Even on the tallest peak of the park, you would get no signal. Yes, I know what people are going to say. You should still bring your cell phone when you're going camping. And to that I agree. But I hated the distraction of it. It always pulled my attention from nature, and I also didn't want to deal with another piece of equipment I would need to keep track of. Remember, in my mind, the lighter, the better. Originally, I had planned to get to the parking lot at the beginning of the trail by 9 AM. However, it was now noon, and I only had about a good 7 hours of daylight left. This meant I wouldn't be able to make it to the camping grounds at the end of the trail by nightfall. This isn't the first time this has happened to me, however. I always hated it when it did. Hiking up the steep incline, even in perfect conditions at night, was dangerous and heavily advised against by park rangers. So I would have to make do and set up camp at the first area I could find after sunset started, and wake up early tomorrow to catch up on the 3 hours I'd lost due to the ferry. The first 3 hours of the hike went perfect. I saw a timber rattlesnake. If you ever visit eastern United States, watch out for those. Not only are they big and strong for a snake, they are also very, and I mean very, venomous. Once I'd hit the 5-hour mark on my hike, I had run out of water for the second time and needed to refill my bottle, since this was the last chance you get until you make your way back down. I was going to go for another 30 minutes or so before I made camp. There is a nice clearing up ahead that if I can get to, then I will be in good shape to make up for the lost time tomorrow. While refilling my water, I noticed a paw print in the mud 7 feet off to my left on the bank. It was undoubtedly a canine print left from where what I presumed was a coyote coming to stop for some water sometime in the last 24 hours. That was until I got closer to the print and realised just how massive it was. Now, I'm a smoker. I smoke around a pack a day, and well, this print was 2 packs long and slightly bigger than 1 pack wide. Let me translate that for the non-smoking readers. Whatever made this print was massive. There's no way a coyote made this print, but there aren't any wolves in Kentucky. There's also no dog breeds I know of that have prints that big. Whatever made this was massive, and well, I had no intentions of staying here by the river and waited for its return. I hurried back on the trail this time with more pep in my step so I could hurry and set up camp to offer some protection if whatever that thing that made the print was still around. I made it to the clearing and set up camp just as the sunset was starting to fade into dusk. First, I quickly set my tent up and threw my sleeping bag inside, followed by starting a fire. If there was a predator out there in those woods, the fire would keep them at a distance, for a while at least. So I thought. I next used my 2 strands of 550 paracord and tied them around the campsite at knee level to act as a tripwire for anyone or anything coming onto the campsite, to give myself a few more precious seconds of time to react. I finally sat down and tore into the pack of jerky I had packed. This gives me some comfort and relaxation, as now I had food in my stomach and a fire to keep me warm. Then I heard it. Snap. My blood went cold as my mind went a million miles an hour as to what could have made that noise. Was it a person? Could it just be some sort of animal like a deer just passing through? What if it was that creature that made the print back down at the river? Whatever it was large and heavy, as I heard twigs snapping louder and louder as it drew closer. "Who's out there? Announce yourself!" No answer came. "I have a gun! and I will shoot if you don't denounce yourself. It was a lie, however. It was a bluff that had gotten a response countless times over the years. However, still no answer came. Whatever was making these noises was heavy. It had to have been several £100 for it to make twigs snap that loud, like they were bones being broken with each and every step. That's also when I noticed just how much distance the creature had covered in only a few seconds. Whatever it was, it couldn't have been human. Its pace was too slow for the amount of ground covered, and the steps were too loud and powerful for it to be a person. Some time had passed before I heard anything else. The steps had stopped just outside of the light my fire produced. Whatever this thing was, it was smart and understood to stay out of the light where it could see me, and I couldn't see it. And there we stayed for what felt like an eternity, unmoving and trying desperately to stretch the little bit of spare wood I gathered to keep the fire going as long as possible. It was waiting for the fire to die out, but I wouldn't let it. I couldn't let this thing get its chance to attack me in the dark. I knew if it really wanted me, all it would have to do is come right into camp and have me for dinner, but it never came. Some time had passed and the fire had come to its small, desperate final breaths of life when I decided to head into my tent, thinking the creature had moved on to choose another target. That's when I saw it. Those awful amber eyes. Cold, without emotion. They struck utter fear into me. This creature was massive. It had to have been at least 8 to 9 feet tall. I couldn't see the body. It was too dark for that. But those eyes, those cold, terrible eyes will haunt me for the rest of my days. I still see them to this day, every night lying awake and in my sleep. I quickly turned my flashlight on and saw the large, lanky frame of the beast. Its dark black fur covered up what was undoubtedly an impressive and horrifying amount of muscle for its build. That's when I realised the putrid stench that had come with it. In my fear, I had not noticed the foul smell of death and rot that followed this creature. It only took the smallest moment to react and drop down to all fours and let out the lowest, most awful growl I ever heard. It could be felt in my soul. The anger and hatred this thing possessed could only be described as pure evil incarnate. I quickly hurried into my tent and hid for the gruesome end that was about to come my way, praying not to any specific deity, but anyone or anything out there that could help me. I do not want to die. I do not want to die. Please, God, save me. I do not want to die. I heard the creature approach right up to the tent, sniffing and growling at me. I swear I don't think my heart had beat a single time. What felt like hours had passed without a sound. Then it was gone. Its howls could be heard off into the distance, reminding me that I was lucky to not end up as its supper tonight. I did not sleep for even a second that night. How could I? I had just experienced the face of pure evil, malice itself given form into our world. I knew I should not be alive, and that the only reason I did not die that night was by its choice, and that alone. When dawn broke, I exited my tent and found evidence of the creature all over the campsite. Pieces of fur, paw prints and claw marks on nearby trees, just to name a few. This trend continued on the trail back to the car. I never made it to the end of the trail. As soon as I packed up camp, I hightailed it out of those woods. I knew if I was to encounter that creature again, I would not be so lucky the next time. When I got to the car, I threw my backpack into the back seat and hurried into the front seat of my car, not saying a word. I sat there in silence with my face in my palms. When I looked up, I saw its amber eyes staring at me, looking at me with a pleased expression on its face of the terror and trauma it had just caused me. This thing, it was intelligent. It wasn't after me to kill or for sport. It was after me to make me suffer, like human suffering was its way of feeding. The look of pleasure on its face, that grin with its long, terrible yellow teeth showing. God, why is such a creature allowed to exist in this world? What grave sin have I committed to be tortured by this thing's existence? I started the car's engine and drove off, driving well over the speed limit. Every now and then at a stop sign I would swear I saw those amber eyes, but each time when I looked, they were gone. When I got to the north side of the park's dock, I waited there patiently as the ferry slowly made its way back. When the crew finally came up to my car as they stopped and remarked how pale I looked, like I had seen a ghost, I knew they wouldn't believe my story, so I brushed it off as the cold weather had taken its toll. I rode home in silence. The radio was turned off and I was left to my own thoughts, racing through my mind about the creature. When I had arrived home late that night, my wife had already put our daughter to sleep. My son was off at some friend's house playing Halo 3, having a good time. I sat there on the couch contemplating what had happened out there on the trip. I decided to head off to bed soon after. When I had opened the door, my wife Sarah had remarked that I stunk, as if I'd been sprayed by a skunk. My blood ran cold. I smelled it too now, that awful putrid stench. I made sure not to make a face and dismissed her claim and went to take a shower. As I got done, I looked out the window and there it was, illuminated by the streetlight with that insidious grin on its face. It had followed me home and saw the fear on my face. Oh, the joy that must have given it. It's been 2 months since that camping trip. Every night it returns, sometimes brushing up against the side of the house, other times staring through the windows, and others howling in the distance. It made sure I understood it wasn't going anywhere. I had done some digging online and found out that the creature was the Bearilla. It had other names as well, like Dogman and the Beast of Bray Road. It's been 3 more months since I found out what this creature was. I've been in contact with God knows how many experts to try and rid this thing from my existence. Each attempt became more and more desperate, and with each attempt the Dogman's pleasure grew. It knew I was desperate to rid myself of it. I cannot keep living my life this way. I will be gone by the time you find this. Just know I love you and I'm sorry. I will not give this creature the pleasure it seeks so adamantly. I am sorry, I love you all, and when you read this, please sell the house and move as far away from Mammoth Cave as you can. When it learns I have killed myself, it will come for one of you next. And I hope you all enjoy the blooper reel. The park is split down the middle by the Green River, which stretches across the park from east to west, connecting and I felt more comfortable taking him on longer, harsh took the ferry only 45 minutes to get back on the south side, but when the crew stepped off, they went to each... It was undoubtedly a canine print left from where... Some time had passed and the fire had come to its... That's when I noticed the... When dawn broke, I exited my tent and found evidence of the... When I arrived home late that night, my wife had already put our double... I had done some digging online and found out that the creature was what... I've been in contact with God. Hey family, please be so kind as to punch the like button and smack the ass of the subscription button as well. And remember to chokehold that notification bell and then select all. That way you'll receive all notifications each time I upload a new video. And by subscribing, you'll be the first to see all of our new spooky creepypasta stories. A very big thank you to Valor Angel for allowing me to narrate this awesome story. Make sure to check out Valor Angel's Reddit page for more brilliant stories. And be sure to check out the Valor Angel playlist here for more of their stories that I may have already narrated. I would just like to say a very big thank you to all of the authors that I have worked with and all the ones that I will work with in the future. So thank you all, my brothers and sisters, and why not hashtag cryptidsroost in your comments. If you would like to support the channel and help make us grow, I have an account at buymeacoffee.com. You can buy me a coffee with your donations, big or small, to that site. You can also support us at Ko-Fi, which is an alternative to Patreon. Also, have an account at BitChute, which is an alternative to YouTube. Or you can support us and donate via paypal.me/cryptidsroost. All relevant links will be below. And don't forget to check out the end screen see above. That will also list some more videos in my back catalogue. Take care everyone, and I hope you all have a wonderful and peaceful night. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not.